morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Clap your hands, clap, clap, clap. Stomp your feet, stomp, stomp, stomp. Spin around, spin, spin, spin. Alright. Good morning, good morning, good morning. 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 Wash your hands, wash, wash, wash. Shake your hands, shake, shake, shake. Brush your teeth, brush, brush, brush. Alright. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning in that. It's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on LouTube today. Thanks for watching. I can get this mic right. Stay. Hell wrong with you? Good morning in that. It's Uncle Lou here. Welcome to the morning show with Uncle Lou. We do this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Quickly becoming one of the favorite things I do here on LouTube, and I'm going to be honest with you, one of the reasons why it's quickly becoming one of my favorite things to do here on LouTube is because it's by far the easiest thing that I do here on LouTube. I take about 45 minutes in the morning while my kids are getting ready for school and all that, and I'm watching the news or whatever super important stuff I'm doing in there. And I look over ESPN and Yahoo Sports and Saturday Down South, blah, 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 and, see what's going on in the wonderful world of college football. Figure out a few things to talk about out here. Come out here, turn some music on, and go. It's couldn't be any easier. Well, it could be easier. It could be a little bit easier. Now, how are y'all doing this morning? I appreciate y'all tuning in. Coming up on Christmas time here. Thanksgiving has come and gone. How many of y'all, is anybody done with their Christmas shopping? Doesn't that make you mad? It seems like you always run across somebody, whether it's either somebody you really know or a family member or somebody on Facebook or something that'll make a post like this time of year, like the first week of December. It was, just finished my Christmas shopping. I feel like I've never finished. I guess when you have two young kids, that's just sort of the way it is. But I do have a pretty good head start. I think I bought my first Christmas present this year probably about a month ago, around the beginning of November. I started buying little things here and there. I got a whole stack of, you can't see it, it's just off camera right over here. A whole stack of stuff that I've been hiding out here from all the other Lou's here because I got a bunch of Snoops here, and including Mrs. Lou. So you got to hide that stuff. But we got the tree up the other day, so I could wrap some of this stuff, I guess. Now, as good as I am about maybe starting my shopping a little bit early, I'm terrible about rapping, and I'm not a good rapper either. I'm a good rapper lyrically. Like, that goes without saying. Like, what do I have? 3 number 1 hits already? My 4th number 1 hit is coming soon, within the next couple of weeks. Here in December, I'm dropping that new banger. Who Had They Played? It's going to shoot straight to the top of the chart. So I'm a good rapper that way. I'm talking about rapping presence. I'm terrible at it, and I wait till the last minute to do it. I'm trying to do that this year. I'll get some of these wrapped up this weekend, maybe. Lord knows I got plenty of wrapping paper, right? If you guys have seen that video, that was hilarious. Maybe one day for the moment in LouTube history. Because was that in December? Yeah, that was in December. So one of these morning shows, you know how we do the moment in LouTube history. I've already got the one picked out for today, but maybe on Friday, if I remember, I'll play the famous wrapping paper video for those of you who might not have seen it. So I won't spoil the whole thing now. But I went to Walmart a couple of days after Christmas several years ago, and bought every roll of wrapping paper they had. And I'll tell the whole story on Friday if I remember to play that video on Friday for LouTube history. It was hilarious. I don't think I'm allowed back in that Walmart. Waikiki says, "Have you got wrapping paper for all those presents, sir?" I've got enough wrapping paper. Wrapping paper is not an issue. Can promise you that. Anyway, shout out to everybody that's joining us this morning. About 100 here now. Jordan Bowman, Frank Dog, Tyrants 5, Andre Ricardo. Good morning, sir. Mr. Big Ken 70. Thank you, sir. Crazy Chicken Dude. Good morning. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Glitter Gator, who already guessed the best Christmas movie of all time right before the show started. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, too. Eric Odom, Logan Maddox, David Big Dog Ramey. Good morning. Dane McAllister. Bartholomew Bob. Good morning, sir. Boss Lady. Is that Mrs. Lou on a troll account? Good morning, Boss Lady. Not sure if might be Miss Lou on a troll account. She thinks she's the Boss Lady. But mostly she is. Punisher, good morning. Nick, Jay Bolton, Billy Boy, Dog Life Ain't Easy. Blake West Music, good morning. X Horn Sup XX for Life X, good morning. Captain Trips, Richard Smith, Jesse Shea, Spencer Edwards, Russell Westbrook fan just since 2010. Just change your name to Bandwagon for Life. Sir Junkyard Jeff, Crazy Chicken Dude, good morning. Mitch Alday, thank you for the super chat, sir. I was going to send my Gump friends a fifth of whiskey a week ago, but I think I might just send them a 12-pack. Man, we had some fun on the night show last night with Alabama being ranked 12th, didn't we? I'll probably pull the rankings up this morning and we'll go through them. I don't think I had the rankings ready to go to pull up on the screen last night, but we had so much fun with Alabama being 12. There was never really a reason to talk about any of the other rankings. So maybe we'll pull the rankings up. This morning, and go through them real quick too. But what I wanted to talk about today, we'll talk some football, some coaching searches. I'm kind of surprised at the number of head coaching vacancies in the SEC. I really am. I'm a little surprised at Missouri and a little bit surprised at Ole Miss. If you would have asked me at the beginning of the season to put money on an Ole Miss coach to lose their job this year, it would have 100% been what's his name? Luke. Is it Matt Luke? What's his name? The Mississippi State guy. I'm drawing a blank on his name now. That would have been the one I thought would have been gone. Not the one at Ole Miss. But Ole Miss currently looking for a coach. Missouri currently looking for a coach. Arkansas currently looking for a coach. And, of course, other vacancies, too. Sort of the big surprise is Chris Peterson stepping down at Washington. And we haven't talked about that on the channel yet. That really caught me off guard because this is strange because Chris Peterson is a really good coach. A really good coach. He got Washington into the playoffs a few years ago. They consistently, it seems like, win 9, 10-plus games. Of course, he was the guy at Boise State that put them on the map, right? with the famous win over Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl 10, 15 years ago now, whatever it was, where they ran the Statue of Liberties and the hook and ladder plays. I mean, they literally emptied the playbook in that game and got the win over Oklahoma. And it doesn't I think are the group of 5 teams better overall now than they were back then? Doesn't it seem like they are? Because do you guys remember when Chris Peterson and Boise State went on that run? Like, it was a big deal. Like, people couldn't believe it. And now it seems like every year you have 4 or 5 group of 5 teams that are pretty good. And maybe that was the case 10 or 15 years ago, and I'm just not remembering because Boise State was so good. I don't know, but like you look at this year, I mean, Memphis is a really good team, right? Central Florida has fallen off from where they were over the last couple of years, but they're still a really good team. Cincinnati, SMU, the list goes on. Boise State still. So, I mean, it just seems like the number of, top 25, top 30-ish type group of 5 teams, it seems like there's more of them now per year. App State, thank you. Yeah, I forgot them. Seems like there's more good group of 5 teams now than there was 10 or 15 years ago. But so I was shocked that Chris Peterson stepped down, and I guess my question is, I'm a skeptic by nature with this kind of stuff. When Bob Stoops stepped down from Oklahoma, I was like, what's going on here? Like, there's no way he just really wants to retire. Now, it turns out that looks like that was the case with Bob Stoops. I know he's back in coaching now with the XFL, but come on, that's not big-time football, And, of course, you have the Urban Meyer thing. I never believe he retires every several years or whatever. No one ever believes that. But so what's the deal with Chris Peterson, do y'all think? Do you think he has something else maybe already lined up? Has Florida State reached out to him? Is it an NFL type of thing maybe? There has been some firings already in the NFL. It just seems strange to me. He's young, isn't he? He's not an older guy. Let me see how old he is. He's 55. That's a baby in terms of coaching. Nick Saban how old is Nick Saban? 68? 69? So 55, it's pretty young. He can't even draw Social Security, So I don't know. I'm skeptical, and I'm sort of wondering what is the angle there with him. We'll see. Florida State, of course, still looking, and I'm kind of surprised. You know what it is? I think Florida State already has their guy. I just think whoever it is has made it clear to Florida State they don't want it announced until their season is over. So that leads me to believe maybe it's the Memphis coach. What's his name? Mike Norvell. Is that his name? Let me look that up too, because if I get it wrong, people love to remind me about it. The comment section happened yesterday with the Utah coach. Yeah, there's reports Mike Norvell staying at Memphis. But, they always say that until the minute their foot is out the door. So, he's a hot name, very hot name. So, I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, I got the Utah coach wrong yesterday. I kept calling him Ty Willingham, which, of course, was the old Notre Dame coach, I think, right? Instead of Kyle Whittingham. I knew the coach was Kyle Whittingham. He's one of my favorite coaches out west. It was just a slip of the tongue. And the thing is, I don't record or re-record these videos. I hit record and just start talking, and what comes out comes out. Because of that, I do make a lot of mistakes. I choose to just leave the mistakes in the video. I just think it makes the videos more authentic that way. I'm not a sports analyst. I'm not an ESPN guy. I'm a regular guy, just like any of you watching. So when I make mistakes, I just leave them in there. But I did call him Ty Willingham instead of Kyle Whittingham. And the thing is, once I did it once, then it was just stuck in my head. So every time then in the video that I referred to him, I referred to him by the wrong name. Now, normally when that happens, and a fan base gets mad, and he gets in the comment section and cusses me out, and this guy's an idiot, blah blah stuff like that. Then I'll keep calling them by that name, right? Like when I accidentally called Jack Fromm. I did that one time. It was an accident. I accidentally called him Jack Fromm one time. Georgia fans lost their friggin' mind. And so now I call them that all the time just to irritate them. The time I said Arkansas instead of Arkansas, and they got so mad about it. So now I try to say Arkansas all the time. So things like that. But the Utah fans, to their credit, they didn't get mad. No one left any like this idiot, but whatever. They just, hey, I think you got the name mixed up. Comments like that. So I will try my best to refer to him by the right name in the future. It was just a slip of the tongue yesterday. That's all. No excuses here. So that's what it is. Snake Bob James, thank you for the super chat, sir. I appreciate that. $10. Thank you. It means a lot. Say this all the time. I don't expect people to super chat. I know there's some people that can't, some people that just don't want to, and that's fine. But I do really, really appreciate the super chats. And to be honest, that's what keeps the live shows going. I usually play copyrighted music on the live shows, which means I don't make a dime off of them other than the super chats. So I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot. Thank you. Quentin Southard, thank you for the super chat. He says, good morning, Lou. If the playoff polls stay the same, how do you see LSU defense holding up against Clemson's offense? And do you think the best defense wins? I don't think LSU will win. I don't think LSU would beat Ohio State or Clemson. LSU's got a chance to beat Georgia because Georgia doesn't have a dynamic offense. Clemson and Ohio State do. I think they would beat. And they have good I think Georgia has the best defense, but Clemson and Ohio State's defense are really, really good too. I mean, you're splitting hairs. In my opinion, when you look at all the teams headed towards the playoffs, when you're talking about defense, Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State, to me, clearly have the best defense of any of those teams. Better than LSU, Oklahoma. Utah has a really good defense, but I don't think it's as good as those other three I named. Baylor, Georgia, Ohio State, and Clemson, all three really, really good defenses. And, of course, Ohio State and Clemson also have amazing dynamic offenses to go along with it. So they can keep up with LSU if it gets into a shootout type situation, and I would trust Clemson and Ohio State's defense more than LSU's in a game like that to make a key stand maybe at the end of the game or something like that. So that's my feelings on that. How's the new furniture? Oh, it's great, and it actually came. I made a joke. Yesterday saying, because you know how they do. They're like the cable company. We'll come sometime between 10 o'clock in the morning and next March. They said they would come between 10 and 2, and they actually came right around 11. So they came within the window, they told me, and it wasn't bad. Didn't take them long to set it all up, so it's great. And we had needed especially a new couch for a while. We have a lot of animals here and 2 kids, and it was just time for some new. It was time for some new furniture. So it looks really good. We got a sectional. Before we had like a couch and then a separate love seat and 2 recliners. So we got rid of the couch, the love seat, and one of the recliners. And now we have the L-shaped sectional, and we moved the recliner over to a different spot or whatever. But it looks good. It looks good in there. We got a new rug, a new carpet, a couple of end tables, a lamp, blah blah blah. But yeah, it was fine. It actually surprised me. They came on time, did a good job setting everything up. The guys were nice. Yep. Waikiki, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says Peterson wants out of Washington. Urban Meyer opened the door. Opened what door? I don't understand. What's the connection between Peterson and Urban Meyer? I'm missing something I'm not understanding there. Tyrants 5, thank you for the super chat, sir. Good morning. Just take my money. Keep it up. Thank you, Tyrants. I really appreciate that, sir. Slim Shady, what's up, buddy? Good to see you in here this morning. He says, number 1, will the Gumps get their way and fire Saban? Number 2, will Mullet survive a 3rd season not winning the East? Every year that Mullet survives not winning the East is amazing to me because their previous coach won the East his 1st year, won the East his 2nd year, had one bad year, his 3rd year, where he didn't win the East and was immediately fired. And they've already put up with Dan Mullet for 2 years without winning the East. So we'll see. I give Dan Mullen a hard time. I don't think Dan Mullen's a terrible coach. But I think talent trumps coaching in college football. So all these people who think Kirby's a terrible head coach, I disagree with that because to me, one of the biggest parts of coaching in college football is recruiting. So if you're able to recruit at an elite level, that automatically, in my opinion, makes you a really good coach, because I just think that in college football, talent is 70 to 80% of it, and coaching is the other 20, 30, or 40. In-game coaching is what I mean, because I consider recruiting part of a coach's job. So when I'm evaluating a coach, recruiting goes into that, and then people will say, well, it's the assistants a lot of times that do the recruiting. Well, the head coach hires the assistants, and it's the same thing. Head coaches, when they're hiring assistant coaches, recruiting is part of the resume they look at for that assistant coach. A lot of teams like to hire assistant coaches who have ties to Florida or Texas or California or Georgia, right? The recruiting hotbeds. So I do think Dan Mullen is a pretty good offensive mind and a pretty good in-game coach. I don't think Florida has the talent to be like a playoff contending team right now. Could that change? Of course it could, because it's not like they recruit terrible. They recruit in the 10 to 15 range generally, which is pretty good nationally. The problem with that is if you're recruiting 10 to 15, that puts you about 6th in most years in the SEC. If you're in the 10 to 15 range right now, you're going to be behind Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Texas A&M. That's 4. So at best you would be 5th. And then there's usually 1 or 2 other teams that have a good year. They might not have consistently great recruiting classes, but they have one every once in a while. So let's say Florida ends up with the 13th best class, well, you already know Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M, and LSU are going to be higher than that on any given year. And usually there's 1 or 2 other teams that just happen to have a good year and maybe get it. Maybe it's Tennessee, maybe Auburn, right? I left them out. So that's sort of the problem with trying to with recruiting in the SEC, is that you can have what appears to be a good class nationally, but it still puts you way behind the 8 ball in the SEC, right? So I think Dan Mullen needs some more Jimmies and Joes if he really wants to challenge for the SEC title or the playoffs. Florida could win the SEC East if Georgia were to stumble, because there's really no clear-cut third team right now. Now, Tennessee finished 3rd this year, and they won 5 in a row. They're hot, right? Everybody gets that. But they didn't really beat any good teams, and they're another team that doesn't recruit at the top of the SEC. So, if you were going to make your preseason rankings for the SEC East for next year right now, most people would rank Georgia projected 1st, Florida projected 2nd, and probably Tennessee projected 3rd based on how they end the season, right? So I think you understand what I'm saying. I think he needs some more Jimmies and Joes to really do what Florida wants him to do. Waikiki, thank you for the super chat. Stepping down, needing a break. Take a year or so off, pick a better job somewhere else. Coaching transfer portal. You're talking about Peterson there. Yeah, that could be. And the other thing is with the coaching searches, every day that goes by that we don't every day that goes by that where we don't hear anything about Clay Helton being fired, it becomes less and less likely that he is going to be fired. So it could turn out that I was wrong about the Urban Meyer to Southern Cal in 2020 thing. I know there were some rumors towards the end of last week that he had already been fired. Sports Illustrated put a thing out saying he had been fired, but that's since been retracted. And the thing is, if Southern Cal is going the Urban Meyer direction, there's no reason not to go ahead and announce it. You got signing day is 2 weeks away. Early signing day is 2 weeks away. So if you're going to make a change and get somebody new in, you need to do it quick. You look at a school like Florida State. If you're a high school senior now and you're committed to Florida State and signing day is coming up, you don't know who your head coach is. You have to be rethinking your commitment to Florida State and Arkansas and Missouri and Ole Miss and now Washington and all these teams, right? So it's become much more important over the last couple of years to get your coach in place quickly because of that early signing day period. I've never been a highly sought after football recruit, but I can imagine that if I was, it would make me pretty nervous to sign with a school in December that didn't have a head coach. I mean, how can you sign with somebody if you don't know who the head coach is going to be? So I think you're going to start seeing a lot of pieces. Usually the way this works is there's a handful of coaches that everybody is looking at, and you have that this year. Urban Meyer, now Chris Peterson, Mike Norvell at Memphis, Bob Stoops, whatever, right? Everyone would want those guys. So usually what happens is as soon as one coach is hired, the dominoes start to fall quickly after that. Like everyone is waiting to see, okay, where's the big name guy going, or who's the first guy going somewhere, and then the dominoes usually fall pretty quick after that. I would be surprised if we made it through the rest of this week without an announcement from somebody that they've hired a coach, and then I think you'll see the dominoes start to fall pretty quick after that. That's usually the way it works. And then you usually have one or two teams that just, not a whole lot of people want to coach there, and those end up being the teams that don't get a coach hired till very late in the process. South Carolina a few years ago with Will Muschamp, Tennessee a couple of years ago with Jeremy Pruitt, right? So we'll see which team sort of ends up being that team this year. Raylan White, thank you for the super chat, sir. Thanks for being my go-to for college football. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but Ohio State is taking the title this year. You don't have to apologize, sir, especially if you're an Ohio State fan. You obviously should think they're winning it all. And I've been saying since about week 2 that if Georgia doesn't win it, then my money would be on Ohio State. To me, they've been the best and most complete team from week 1 till now. They appear to have no weaknesses. They've dominated every single week, and they haven't had a single game where they've looked bad or shaky on either side of the ball. I would put Clemson in that category in terms of how they're playing today. Last 6 weeks or whatever, but Clemson was a little shaky the first 5 or 6 weeks. Ohio State's been hitting on all cylinders since day one, so they would be my team, right? I'm a Georgia fan, so until Georgia's eliminated, that's obviously going to be my pick. But Ohio State appears to almost be an unbeatable team. But people said that about Alabama last year too. They appear to be unbeatable. And then Georgia should have beat them, and then Clemson road graded them. What about LSU? LSU doesn't have the defense to win the national title this year. And really it's not even close. The number one defense in America has won the national title each of the last 2 years. Clemson had the number one overall defense last year and won the national title. Alabama had the number one defense the year before and won the national title. The year before that, when Clemson won it the first time, they had, I think, a top 5 defense. So now I know those teams had dynamic offenses too, but the point is, if you look at Clemson and Alabama last year, they both had amazing offenses. The team with the better defense won by holding Alabama to 16 points. So that's going to be LSU's problem. Look at Oklahoma. They set records every year with their offense. They get to the playoffs and can't win. They've lost in round 1, 3 years in a row? And if somehow they get in this year, they'll lose in round 1 again, unless they play LSU. Now, if LSU played Oklahoma, that's anybody's guess who would win that one. And the over-under would probably be 110. I don't think if LSU were to play Oklahoma, I don't think anybody would be surprised if the score of that game was 55 to 50, 60 to 65. It would be a track meet, in my opinion. What time is it? 8:29. What did I want to talk about today? Coaching searches. Well, we did that. Let's do LouTube history, and then when we come back, I want to talk about movies, Christmas movies, and Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan. I don't. You call me a nerd, call me whatever. Now, I've never got into Star Trek, so I'm not a Trekkie. I don't think I've ever seen an entire Star Trek movie. None of them. I've seen parts of some of them. But I don't think I've ever seen an entire Star Trek movie. But I am absolutely addicted and hooked to Star Wars. Maybe it's because of my age. I was born in the late 70s, right when the first Star Wars movies came out, the original 3. Empire Strikes Back was one of the first movies I ever saw in the theater. So I've just always loved Star Wars, and of course we have the final movie of the third trilogy coming out here in a couple of weeks on December 20th. So we'll talk about that. I don't know how many of y'all are Star Wars fans or not. But anyway, we'll do LouTube history. What did I find today? Let me see what I found. Hold on a second. What did I find today for y'all? Where is it? Oh, December 2015. If you're new to the morning show, I drink way too much coffee in the morning, which requires a pee break. So rather than just showing a blank screen or playing music for 5 or 6 minutes while I go pee, I download an old video. My channel's been around since 2014. So what I do is I download an old video, and we do a moment in YouTube history. I play old video for you. And I do one from the month that we're currently in. So we're in December. This video is from December of 2015. This is the video I made when it was announced that South Carolina had hired Will Muschamp. So we'll see what my thoughts were. About South Carolina hiring Will Muschamp way back in December of 2015, and we'll see if anything I said or might have predicted in this video turned out to be reality, or if I was wrong about our good buddy Will Muschamp. Let's check it out, and I'll be back in 5 or 6 minutes. They actually did it. They actually did it. South Carolina actually hired Will Muschamp. Not as a coordinator, not to sell popcorn. Head coach. What are you doing? On behalf of the entire SEC East, the entire SEC, the entire nation of college football, let Uncle Lou be the first to thank you, Shamecox, for making this hire. Just when I thought South Carolina couldn't possibly do anything to set themselves back any further than what they obviously already are, you guys go out and make probably the worst hire in the history of college football. And you know who's particularly happy today? Tennessee fans, because this is going to be the end of all the Derek Dooley and Lane Kiffin at Tennessee jokes. This is going to be the end of all that. You guys hired the unhireable coach. I don't understand. Now, Lane Kiffin has been on the do not hire list for years now after he screwed up at Oakland, Tennessee, and Southern Cal. And even though he's been on the staff at Alabama for 2 years and done, if I'm just being objective about it, he's done a great job there, and he still can't get hired because of his past. You guys go out and hire Will Muschamp without a problem. How many guys did y'all interview? Tell Uncle Lou. How many people? 10, 15? You guys basically held open tryouts for your head coach position. This is what Florida did with their field goal kicker a month ago. It's one thing to do it for a field goal kicker. You can call the soccer team in and have them kick field goals, and whoever makes the most, you give them a scally. You guys held open tryouts for head coach. How many people turned you down? And you hired Will Muschamp? Have you guys seen, I'm sure all of you have seen the movie Christmas Vacation, right? The Griswolds, Clark Griswold, the vacation movies, Christmas Vacation. Remember towards the end he gets to knock on the door and he thinks it's his Christmas bonus and he gets all excited, but turns out, oops, Jelly of the Month Club. And there's the famous line where Cousin Eddie says, Clark, it's the gift that keeps on giving. That's you, South Carolina. South Carolina is...
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
The gift that keeps on giving. Unbelievable. You'll be lucky to win 5-6 games a year for the foreseeable future. You got no talent on your team now. You have no recruits in the pipeline. You're currently ranked 51st in recruiting. Pathetic, sad. Clemson's in the playoff. That's not helping you. They're in your state. That's not helping you. I really don't know what else to say. We need to start a hashtag pray for South Carolina Gamecocks. Yeah, South Carolina needs help. There's no way around it. I don't know what you guys are doing up there. This is definitely a terrible hire. I mean, nobody wanted to coach there, I guess, so you got what you got. I can tell you right now, if I was a South Carolina fan, well, first of all, if I was a South Carolina fan, I'd shoot myself. But second of all, if I was a South Carolina fan, straight up, I'd like to get Will Muschamp here, look him straight in the eye, and tell him what a
cheap, lying, no good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is. Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
This is the same crap I keep seeing here about Georgia choking or whatever. Barry Pitts, who's your team, sir? Because unless it's Clemson or Alabama, then you really don't have any room to talk. Kirby Smart is 7-3 against top 10 teams, so he has a 70% winning percentage against top 10 teams. I'm willing to put that up against any coach. So this idea that Georgia chokes all the time is just ridiculous. They won the SEC 2 years ago. They won a playoff game. So the idea that Georgia just chokes all the time is just silly. How many top 15 teams have we beat this year? So the reality is Georgia blew 2 games to Alabama. That's what happened. Period. Georgia was better than Alabama in 2017 in the Natty game, and Georgia was better than Alabama in 2018 in the SEC title game. And anybody that watched those games and doesn't agree with that is either an Alabama fan or, just like Barry Pitts, they're football ignorant. Those are the only 2 explanations. Watching the Georgia-Alabama game and trying to tell me that Alabama was the better team would be like watching Clemson versus Syracuse from a couple of years ago and trying to tell me Syracuse was the better team. Or watching Ohio State versus Purdue last year and trying to tell me Purdue was the better team. No, the better team doesn't always win for different reasons. Sometimes they get out coached. Sometimes there's something crazy happens, whatever. But anybody who watched those 2 games and thinks Alabama was the better team is just either an Alabama fan or they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And Barry Pitts, I'm going to assume that you fall into the second category because you don't strike me as a gump. You strike me as a fan of a team that can't beat Georgia. That's what you strike me as. So if you're willing to man up and let us know in the comment section which team you're a fan of, that would go a long way towards letting us know which of those 2 categories you fall into, Barry. But thank you for the comments, though. I love you too, sir. All right, super chats, and then we're going to talk about some movies here. Slim Shady. Die Hard is the greatest Christmas movie ever. End of discussion. This argument comes up every year, doesn't it? Thank you to Disney for ruining Star Wars and my childhood. This argument about Die Hard comes up all the time. Is it a Christmas movie? I don't think Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Die Hard is a movie that happens to take place in the month of December to me. I don't consider Die Hard a Christmas. I know a lot of people do, and I love Die Hard. It's a great movie. I'd watch Die Hard right now if it was on TV. I love Die Hard. But I don't consider a movie a Christmas movie just because it takes place in the month of December. So to me, that's not a Christmas movie, so therefore it cannot be the greatest Christmas movie. Now, it might be the greatest Bruce Willis movie of all time. That could be a thing. Thank you for the super chat, though. And Logan Jackson, thank you, sir. He says, Lou, I vote yes on you doing a morning show Monday through Friday over the offseason. Best part of my morning. Keep up the good work. Go Dogs. Yeah, I'm strongly considering that. I'm going to be honest. I'm really considering it for a couple of different reasons. There's two reasons I didn't start the morning show off right away because we've been going, a couple of months now doing this. Is still a relatively new show. There's a couple of reasons I didn't start off 5 days a week. Number one, anytime you try something new, whether it's here on YouTube or anywhere else, you never know if it's going to work or be successful or not. So I didn't want to commit myself. I hate committing to something and then not following through. So I didn't want to start this show saying it's going to be 5 days a week and then realize that no one was watching and have to scale it back. Now, it turns out plenty of people are watching. I've been blown away at the number of people who immediately from the very first episode, the number of people that have been tuned in. And not only that, a lot of people are listening to this show after. I actually, I'd have to look at the numbers, but it's pretty close. More people watch the nighttime show live than watch the morning show, but that's expected. There's more people who can watch the nighttime show live. A lot of people are at work and school at 8 a.m. But it's close in terms of how many people watch those two live shows after the fact. A lot of people watch the morning show after. So it has been way more successful than I could have possibly hoped. But I didn't want to overcommit until I saw how it was going to do. The other reason I didn't start right off with 5 days is because I put out so much content during the football season from about July when I start the previews through January. I basically don't take a day off, and I just work a ton of hours out here. And I didn't want to burn myself out. But I have figured out over the last 2 months in doing this morning show that I don't think doing this morning show would lead me to be burned out in any type of way. I'll be honest, I get a little burned out on some of the preview videos. I get a little burned out on that when I do Tuesday I do the SEC, Wednesday I do the top 25, Thursday I do other games that are interesting to me. By the end of October, because it's so repetitive, those videos. I like being creative. I like doing the skits. I like doing the rant videos. I like doing the preview videos, but the thing about the preview videos is that they're very repetitive. I come out here, I sit down, I pull up the week's college football schedule, I write down all the SEC games. The next day I do the exact same thing, but I write down all the top 25 games. The next day I do the exact same thing, but I write down the other games that are interesting, right? I do a little bit of research into each game, all 3 days. I pull up Bet Now. I screenshot all the point spreads. It's just very repetitive. And by the end of October, I start to get a little burned out on those. But the morning show is different every single morning. And like I said, I've discovered that these shows aren't hard to do. These are some of the easiest to do in terms of how much work I have to put into the show before the show actually starts. Like the nighttime show, I put a decent amount of work into the show before that show starts with the graphics, different screens that I want to show, setting up the phone system. I've got a phone system out here now. I've got to get all that set up for the nighttime show. So there's just a lot more work that goes into those. The morning shows are really easy to do. So I am strongly considering expanding the morning show to 5 days a week. I think what I'm going to do when the season ends, I'm going to keep doing in January, I'm going to keep doing the morning show for 3 days a week. As long as the numbers stay about the same or close to the same in terms of the number of people watching, then I will expand it to 5 days. This channel always takes a hit when the season ends. And I understand why. And I expect that to happen again this offseason. But as long as the numbers stay close to the same, like there's 200 watching now. If there's 150 watching in January, I will expand the show to 5 days a week, right? If it drops down to 50 people watching, I will probably keep it at 3 days a week. That's just my honest thoughts on it right now. Thank you for the super chat, though, Logan. I appreciate that. Rob D says, Lou, Disney is ruining Star Wars outside of the Mandalorian TV series. The leak's coming out for episode 9, saying it'll be worse than The Last Jedi. Rey is a Mary Sue. Take politics out of movies, especially SW. Thank you for the super chat, Rob. Thunder, thank you for the super chat. And Waikiki, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, is it too soon to ask when the 24 hours of Lou is coming back? No, it's not too soon. In fact, we talked about, someone brought this up last night too. Someone asked about that. I am going to do another 24-hour live stream. It will be earlier in the year than it was last year. I am probably going to do it either the end of March or beginning of April. And what I'm going to do, and I don't think I mentioned this last night when I talked about it, so let me give credit to where I sort of got this idea from. But if you guys know Bad Dog, I've had him on the show a couple of times. He's sort of my go-to guy for NFL-type stuff. We had him on the morning show last week, I think it was, right, to talk about NFL rookies. He did a 24-hour live stream not long after I did my 24-hour live stream last summer. He did one a couple of weeks after. And it was a charity benefit thing that he did. And so I've decided to do something similar with my next 24-hour live stream. And as some of you know, Mrs. Lou has MS, multiple sclerosis. And the second or third week in April every year is MS week. And cities all across the United States hold these charity walks or charity runs, where people sponsor certain people with MS, and they go and they do the walk, and for every lap they do, whatever that kind of, you guys sort of know what I'm talking about, these charity runs and charity walks. So I'm thinking about doing my 24-hour live stream a week or two before MS week, and then all the super chat revenue that comes in during that live stream, donating it to the MS charity. So that's my plan. So yes, there will be another 24-hour live stream, but it won't be during the summer. It will be a little earlier in the year to coincide with MS week, which is in April. So that's my plan for that. But thank you for the super chat. Braves WS says Luther going to be in a suit and tie and no bottle because Bama not his team for the rest of the season. Yeah, he'll have to get him Luther's going to have to get him a NASCAR shirt, I reckon. Ain't he? Yeah, probably. When do previews and predictions for 2020 start? What got me started on LouTube? Though, here's the way I do my preview and prediction videos. Is it after the spring games? Yeah, after the spring games, which are March and beginning of April. Right after that. So, like maybe the last 2 weeks of April or so. I do a best case, worst case series of prediction and preview videos. These aren't the detailed, in-depth videos that I do over the summer. This is separate. I do a best case, worst case. I look at a team. I say, okay, we know who they lost from last year to the NFL or graduation. We saw their spring game. We see their recruiting class. We've seen their spring game. What's the best case scenario? Just looking at this schedule, and I don't pick a winner for every game like I do in the other ones. But I pull the schedule up, and I'll give you Tennessee as an example. We'll use Tennessee because we talked about them last night, and I happen to know their schedule for next year. I'll do a best case, worst case for Tennessee, and I'll say, okay, this is who they lost. Their recruiting class looks like this. I watched some of their spring game. These are the areas they look okay in. These are the areas I think might give them some trouble. Here's their schedule. And then I'll put the schedule up on the screen, and I'll go, okay, they got to play Oklahoma at Oklahoma. They got to play Georgia at Georgia. They get Alabama and I think Florida at home, but those are probably losses. This is how I'll do the videos. And I'll go through it like that, and I'll say, it looks like probably the best case scenario here for Tennessee right now, in my opinion, would be 8-4. If things go bad, maybe 7-5 or 6-6. I'm not saying that's what I'll say for Tennessee. That's an example of what I do. And I'll do that for a bunch of teams towards the end of April and beginning of May. And then right after July 4th is when I start the in-depth game-by-game preview and predictions, where I pick an exact record for all the teams and tell you exactly which teams I think they'll lose to. So 2 sets of previews and predictions. One comes at the end of April and May. I call it best case, worst case. And then the other one starts right after July 4th. the actual official Uncle Lou preview and prediction videos where I give you the record for every single team. That's how I did it last year. It worked pretty well, and that's my plan again. This year. So Christmas movies. Now there a lot of them are obvious. Now my favorite, I'm just gonna and I think I've talked about this before. I think a lot of times people's favorite movies a lot of times are based on their age, obviously, right? So I'm how old am I? 41. My favorite Christmas movie of all time is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. When did that come out? Late 80s, early 90s. So I was a teenager. Everyone watched it when it came out. You went to school. It's all everybody was talking about. You got to see this Christmas Vacation movie. That's my favorite Christmas movie of all time. It's not close. I've already watched it twice this year in the last couple of weeks, and I'll watch it 2 or 3 more times before Christmas comes around. So that's at the top of my list, and it's not even close. You guys can let me know in the comment section what your absolute favorite is. If you're flipping through the channel this afternoon and that movie's on, you're going to watch it. No matter, you're going to stop whatever you're doing and you're going to watch it. To me, that's Christmas Vacation. Now, I have it DVR'd. We watch it whenever we want, but Bad Dog, we were just talking about you, buddy, and that 24-hour stream you did. Good morning, sir. People asked me to do my job while I'm trying to listen to Uncle Lou. So that's my favorite Christmas movie of all time. Now, I have a second category of movies because I have kids, and based on the age that they are, I've sort of developed a second set of movies that we tend to watch every single year, no matter what, because these are Christmas movies that have came out recently, right? My oldest kid is how old's Luann? Luann will be 12. Well, wait a minute. Wait, what year are we in? She was born in 2000, and she was born in June of 2007. So yeah, she'll be 12, right? Yeah, she'll be 12. Anyway, you get the idea. So, in the last 12 years, I've watched a lot of the new Christmas movies that have come out. And so I have sort of a separate list that we tend to watch here every single year, no matter what. And probably at the top of that list would be Elf. Lou Jr. especially. That's his favorite movie, and it's not close, Elf. He could watch it 2 or 3 times a day still. And we've already watched it a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, too. And then there's a bunch of others. Frozen, I'm going to be honest with you about Frozen. Normally, when a real popular kids movie like that comes out, and all the kids like it, and you have kids, I can stand most of those movies. And I think Disney and Pixar both do a pretty good job with their kids' movies of purposely putting things in those movies that make the movies interesting to adults, which is a genius move. So most of the quote-unquote kids' movies, that the big ones that come out, I can watch, and they're okay movies. I cannot stand Frozen. I can't. I think it's a terrible movie. I don't like the storyline. I don't like the constant songs and singing. And now Lou Jr. was a little bit too young to really care when Frozen came out. But Luann, that was all. I remember the Christmas that movie was out. I think everything she got for Christmas that year was Frozen themed. All the castles, all the little figures or whatever, Frozen pajamas, Frozen T-shirts to wear to school. I mean, I think everything she got, I think, was Frozen themed, and I just can't stand that movie. Now, something that's sort of the opposite end of that is I'm drawing the Polar Express. I love the Polar Express. I think that's a great movie. I think it tells a great story. Obviously, Tom Hanks, even though it's an animated movie, I like almost anything. Sorry about that. I like almost anything with Tom Hanks. And Polar Express is to me, like Christmas Vacation in that if I'm scrolling through the TV guide or something and Polar Express is on, I automatically stop scrolling and just watch it, even if it's just for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Doesn't matter if it's the beginning of the movie, end of the movie, somewhere in between. The Polar Express is probably my favorite Christmas movie that's come out in the last 10 or 15 years. I love that movie. And for some reason, I remember when Polar Express came out, I had no idea that Polar Express was a story that had been around forever. Like when I was a kid, I never knew about the Polar Express story. I guess it was a book or whatever. I never knew anything about it. So when the movie came out, it was totally new to me. And I quickly found out that a lot of people knew already about Polar Express because they had the book when they were a kid or their parents read it to them at Christmas time or whatever it was. I had no clue. When I was a kid, Jesus, I'm old. When I was a kid, the claymation, it wasn't even the movies. It was the 30-minute and 1 hour long specials that would come on like ABC, NBC, and CBS, like the Rudolph story, the claymation. And I watch that stuff now, and it's creepy as hell, that claymation. Like the Rudolph with the abominable snowman or whatever, like just the way that claymation looks is creepy. I mean, super creepy. But when I was a kid, that's what you watched. And then, of course, the Charlie Brown specials and all that kind of stuff. So that tended to be more of the stuff we watched when I was a kid as opposed to like Christmas movies. But again, now that I have kids, 112, 110, I've seen every Christmas movie that has come out over the last 10, 15 years. And then obviously you have sort of maybe a third category of Christmas movies, the adult Christmas movies, right? And I like some of those too. Four Christmases. I like Bad Santa was hilarious to me, and several others. Now, my second favorite Christmas movie of all time, Christmas Vacation, #1. But my second, and really it's not close. In fact, this might be 1A and 1B. I know I like Christmas Vacation is still my favorite, but a close second is Tim Allen, the guy from Home Improvement. Tim Allen, the Santa Claus. I love that movie. Part 2 was okay. Part 3 is a waste of time. But the original, the Santa Claus movie, amazing. One of my all-time favorite movies. I love that movie. Let me read through some of these comments and see what y'all are saying. Braves WS, thank you for the super chat. Luther yelling, "Whoa, Talladega, woo!" I ought to get Luther I might do that. I might order some kind of NASCAR shirt, or who's the popular race car driver now? I don't even know. I don't watch racing, but I might order a NASCAR shirt instead of, he's been wearing that camouflage T-shirt with the sleeves cut off ever since I invented the Luther character. Maybe I'll do a skit where he gets mad at Alabama and takes that off and puts on a NASCAR shirt or something and becomes a NASCAR fan. And that's what I'll do until Alabama beats a ranked team, because it's been forever and a day. Luther will be a NASCAR fan. I think that'll be funny. We'll do that. It's a good idea. Big Dog Brett, what's up, buddy? Good morning to you, sir. Got any of them French fried corn dogs in there? Mm-hmm. Thank you for the super chat, Brett. And good morning, sir. Waikiki says, how about the classic cartoons, Rudolph and Frosty? Yeah, I mentioned those a few minutes ago. Creepy. I watched them and loved them when I was a kid. And you know what? When you have kids, you try to sit them down sometimes and watch the things that you liked when you were a kid. And we did that with like Frosty and Rudolph and all that. And I'm watching it, and they're not interested in it at all. My kid, I don't know what it is. My kids can watch like 5 minutes of a movie, and they just can tell that it's old, and they immediately don't like it. Just based off the way it looks or whatever. I don't like that. But it's very creepy looking to me when you watch that old animation style that they used to do with the Frosty and the reindeer and the Rudolph movies. Braves WS says, Bumbles bounce, Lou. Yeah, right. Shane Bentley, thank you, sir. He says, Frozen is completely overrated. With that said, I've got a soft spot for Jingle All the Way. Get to the chopper. Oh, that's right. The Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Jingle All the Way. Yeah. Braves WS says, don't forget you'll shoot your eyes out. I do think A Christmas Story is a good movie, but I don't think it's so good that of all the movies, that should be the one that's played 24 hours straight from like 5 o'clock Christmas Eve till 5 o'clock Christmas Day on TBS or whatever it is every year. It's 24 hours of they just play it over and over and over and over again. What is it, a 2-hour movie? So they play it back to back 12 times. It's a good movie, but of all the Christmas movies, that's the one. That's the one that people have to watch for 24 hours straight. I don't know. So to me, it's just worn on me now over the years because it's everywhere. No matter where you go on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, people will have football on for a while. But no matter where you go, at some point, somebody's going to say, hey, turn it to TBS for that 24 hours of A Christmas Story. And then you got to sit there and watch an hour of A Christmas Story. And it just has worn on me, I guess. But, I mean, it is a good movie, though. Most popular drivers is Chase Elliott. Okay, Chase Elliott. Yeah, I'll have to look into it and see what I can do about that. Oh, my God. Kevin wants to know, what about the Hallmark movies? Listen, I'm not going to get on here and I'm married, okay? Who am I trying to impress at this point? Nobody. I'm not going to lie to you. I do watch the Hallmark movie. Mrs. Lou loves the Hallmark movies. Every time about this year, she goes into the guide on the TV, goes to the Hallmark channel, and she'll just set to record about 20 of those Hallmark movies. Now, the thing is, they're all the same. That's my issue with those Hallmark movies. They are all the same. Every single one of them. There's a single girl and a single guy. Usually the guy is divorced and has just got out of a relationship, and he's depressed and he's sad and he's never going to date or marry again. He's obviously in love with the girl in the movie. The girl is obviously in love with him, but he doesn't know she loves him. He doesn't know him loves her, all that. And then, through the magic of Christmas, their hearts are united eternally, or something. And they're just all the same. But I do watch them because Mrs. Lou loves those things. So I'm not going to sit here and I ain't watch none of them damn Hallmark movies. Yes. A lot of times the way that works is at night, we tuck the kids in, put them to bed for school or whatever. And whether it's in the den or whether we go to bed or whatever, and we'll turn one of those on. And, because those are the kind of movies. See, some movies, like I get hooked on movies. Like you start watching a movie. Like a lot of times I won't even start a movie after like 10 o'clock at night because I know I'm going to stay up and watch it all. And I can't stay up that late. So once I start watching a movie, I have a hard time turning it off. Not with those. So, we can go to bed and put on one of those Hallmark movies and I can watch it for 10 or 15 minutes. It makes her happy because, he's watching a Hallmark movie with me. But then, the first commercial break or whatever comes around, I can roll over and go to sleep. So yes, I do get wrangled into watching some of those Hallmark movies. I'm not gonna try to lie. Slim Shady, thank you for the super chat, sir. If you've never seen It's a Wonderful Life, you're a dirty comic. I've seen It's a Wonderful Life a million times, and it's a good movie. And now, and it's a musical, sort of. This is off subject. This isn't a Christmas movie. The Singing in the Rain. For some reason, when my daughter was born, we would put on Singing in the Rain, and she loved the songs in that movie. So from the time my daughter was maybe 1 or 2 till the time she was about 4 or 5, I probably watched Singing in the Rain 500 times. And it is a good movie. Because she absolutely loved all the songs in that movie. And Mrs. Lou is a big fan of those old musicals from, back in the 50s and 60s, like Singing in the Rain, It's a Wonderful Life, White Christmas. We actually watched White Christmas the other day. What day was that? Was it Sunday after Thanksgiving? It was either Saturday or, no, it had to be Sunday because I was gone Saturday. Might have been Friday, actually. I don't know what the days ran together. My week last week was so crazy with Thanksgiving, and going to the game, and then having to go shopping and work. The days run together. But we watched White Christmas too the other day, which fits into that same category of movies from being sort of way back in the day. RB says Lifetime channel equals men are bad, and you could not be more right, sir. The whole speech I just gave about Hallmark Christmas movies, I have a similar speech I give about Lifetime movies. Yeah, they're all the same. The guy is terrible. He's either beating his wife or cheating on her. He's a bad parent. He's not a good dad. They're literally all. I don't like it when, if you're married, you know this. It's not a good idea for your wife to sit around and watch a bunch of Women will sit around and watch Lifetime movies and then get mad at their husband in real life for absolutely nothing. Like it poisons their mind. It rots their brain. Lee, no, Die Hard's not a Christmas movie. We talked about that earlier. I know that's a big argument all over the internet every year around this time. I love Die Hard. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, and maybe Bruce Willis's best movie ever. I love Die Hard, but to me, a movie is not a Christmas movie just because it takes place in the month of December. So I don't really consider that a Christmas. I know a lot of people do, and it's not that serious to me where I'm willing to argue about it with you. That's just my opinion. That it's not a Christmas. I don't think a movie's a Christmas movie just because it takes place in the month of December. Just putting it out there. 8 Crazy Nights. Anything with Adam Sandler is just amazing. But and of course the Hanukkah song. Smoke your marijuana. Shopping on I do 90% of my Christmas shopping on Amazon. I got a stack of boxes over here, and the UPS and the FedEx man and the post office man, they know us by name here. This time of year, it seems like every day something's getting delivered. Yeah. Talladega shirt's a good idea, Lee Taylor, for the Luther character. That is a good idea. Elf is amazing. It's one of my favorites. And that's Lou Jr. That is Lou Jr.'s favorite. And I mentioned earlier, we've already watched that 2 or 3 times this holiday season. Man, now I want to go inside and watch Christmas movies, but I can't. Got to work today. I don't drink eggnog either, Jeff. Me and my daughter hate eggnog. Mrs. Lou and Lou Jr. love eggnog. We keep it in the house this time of year, but I can't stand it. I've never liked it. And Luann doesn't like it either, but my wife and my son love it. Will Ferrell to coach Alabama. You got a ticket to see Judas Priest in my stocking in 1982 in Augusta, Georgia. $8, one of the best gifts ever. Yeah, so you went to the Civic Center here. I don't know what it is. If it's the thickness, if it's the sweetness, if it's the idea of drinking something with the word egg in it. I don't know what it is, but I've just never liked it. Southern Comfort eggnog, that's what we always get. That's Miss Lou's favorite too. So that's what I buy when I go to the store and get it for her. Yeah, Christmas Story is a great movie. My problem with the Christmas Story is, of all the Christmas movies to choose from, I don't understand why that's the one that has to be played 24 hours straight on Christmas Eve and Christmas. So it just kind of has burned me out over time. Braves WS, thank you, sir. He says, with a Chase Elliott shirt, you control Luther because Chase is from Dawsonville, son of Bill, and they're diehard dog fans. That might be a little, I think that would go over too many people's head. Like, I would have to explain that. Not very many people, I think, would know that. Whereas if I just put on a Talladega shirt or a race car shirt or a NASCAR shirt or whatever, it would be a lot easier to say, well, I'm done with Alabama. I'm back to watching NASCAR now. Gumps are 12th behind Auburn and Florida. Really? Are you sure, Brian Wallace? Are you sure about that? He put that channel on that shows a fireplace and plays music. Yes, and you know what? we have Dish Network, and they have a different one now. They have that one still, but they have another one that's like this log cabin in the woods, and there's snow everywhere, and it's snowing. And Mrs. Lou found that one the other morning when we were getting dressed and put that on. So I guess that'll be the one we're watching this year instead of staring at the fake fireplace. All right, guys, I'm going to end the stream for today and get started on some preview videos for you guys today. Let me know, what preview video should I do today? Let me tell you this. The LSU versus Georgia preview and prediction video, that's coming tomorrow, Thursday. And then the hype and hate video is coming Friday. So, and yesterday I did the Pac-12. So there's 4 preview videos left to do. If I can do 2 more today, which 2 do you guys want to see? Do you want to see the Big Ten preview, the ACC preview, or the Big 12? Out of those 3, or do you want to see something else? Cincy and Memphis. Which 2? The SEC will be the SEC preview will be tomorrow. The straightforward analysis video. Then the hype and hate video for Georgia LSU will be Friday. So Big 12, a lot of votes for the Big 12. It is interesting. The Big 10. Somebody says the ACC. That's going to be such a blowout. Big 10. Big 10, Big 12, Big 10, Big 10, Big 10. Okay, here's what I'm going to do then. I'm going to do the Big 10 preview today for sure. I'm going to try to do 2 today. I have to decorate outside today, the decorations. I did some of it yesterday. I got to finish it today. So I'm going to do the Big 10 preview today. Then I'm going to finish my Christmas decorations early this afternoon. And then I'm going to try to then do the Big 12 video this afternoon. So I'm going to try to get you 2 videos today. The Big Ten, you're definitely going to get the Big Ten video. That seems to be what's getting the most votes. Although now that I say that, I see a bunch of votes for Big 12. I'll do the Big Ten first. If I have time later, I'll do the Big 12. Tomorrow, I'll do the SEC first, and then I'll do the ACC in the afternoon. So I'll still get to them all, but it seemed Big Ten and Big 12 seemed to get the most votes. So I'll do Big Ten and Big 12 today. I'll do SEC and ACC tomorrow. But remember, each one will be a separate video because I don't want to feel rushed. When I'm recording a video, the camera is constantly telling me how long I've been recording, and once it gets to 15 or 20 minutes, I feel like I'm rushed because people just don't want to watch a 30-minute video. And if I do multiple conference game previews in one video, the video will either be 40 minutes long or I'll feel rushed and I won't be able to talk about all the things I want to talk about. So it'll be 4 separate videos. Just like yesterday, the Pac-12 video was by itself. The Big Ten video will be by itself. It'll be out first today. Then I'll do a Big 12 preview, come out later this afternoon. Tomorrow, I'll do the ACC preview and the SEC preview in separate videos. And then on Friday will be the hype and hate video. Saturday morning, we will do the live show out here. College Game Day Watch with Lou, that whole thing, the call-in show from 9 to 10 or 11 or whatever. And then I'm streaming the SEC championship game on Saturday on the Patreon page. So listen, if you're not on the Patreon page and watching these games with us every Saturday, you're missing out, and you're definitely not going to want to miss the one this week because there's no telling what might happen either in the game or in this garage during that game on Saturday. So click the link in the description of the video that says support the channel and join the Patreon page. It'll take you over there, get yourself signed up, and watch that game with us. But anyway, appreciate all you guys tuning in this morning. I think there's one more super chat I didn't get to. Hold on one second. Let me make sure. I always feel so bad when I leave one out. Matterby Gaming, thank you. Thank you for the super chat. He says, just stop driving, but hire me to be your assistant to do all the repetitive research and stuff you don't want to do next season. Go dog. I wish. Listen. I wish. I hope that one day soon I can get to a position where I can hire somebody to help me. In whatever way, whether it's research, editing, whatever, and we'll see. I would listen if I could contract out some of what I do. Nothing would make me happier. It would make my life a lot easier. So I'll keep you in mind, Matterby Gaming. Thank you for the super chat, sir. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in. try to get you a couple of previews out today, a couple of previews out tomorrow. The next live show, what a schedule's on the screen. You guys know the morning show, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. The call-in shows Tuesday and Thursday night at 10 p.m. and Saturday morning at 9 a.m. So that's the schedule for the live shows the rest of the week. And then I'll be live streaming the Georgia LSU SEC Championship game on Saturday over on the Patreon page. But I appreciate you guys tuning in this morning. I hope you have a great, what day is it? Wednesday? Have a great Wednesday, and I'll see you again real soon. Have a good morning.